I never imagined my life would end on a cold roadside with nobody reaching for my hand. Please, I whispered. Someone help me. Cars passed without slowing down. Rain mixed with the blood beneath me. Every breath burned like fire. I pulled out my phone with shaking fingers and called my oldest sister. Olivia, she answered after several rings. What do you want now, Daniel? I've been hit by a car. Please come. She sighed. Stop making excuses. Lucas already told me you were trying to guilt us again. I'm not lying. You've lied enough. The call ended. I stared at the dark screen. She didn't believe me. I called Sophia next. She answered immediately. If this is another drama, I'm busy. I'm dying. She laughed softly. Lucas warned us you would fake an emergency after losing your job. I really need you. I don't have time. The line went dead. My chest hurt even more than my broken body. I looked at the family photo inside my wallet. I only wanted sisters who loved me. With trembling hands, I called Emma. She picked up almost instantly. Daniel. Relief filled my heart. Emma, please. Before I could finish, another voice interrupted. Don't listen to him, Lucas. He's trying to ruin our family dinner again. Emma hesitated. Lucas says you're pretending. I'm not pretending. You always make everything about yourself. I just want to live. Silence. Then she whispered, I'm sorry. The call ended. I closed my eyes. So this is how it ends. The rain grew heavier. Memories rushed through my mind. I remembered skipping meals so my sisters could eat. I remembered working late to pay their school fees. I remembered selling my dream motorcycle because Olivia needed money for college. None of them remembered. Only I did. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Lucas appeared. You finally lost. They chose me. Asterisk asterisk. I wanted to hate him. Instead, I felt tired. So, this was your plan all along. My vision blurred. I whispered into the empty night. Why wasn't I ever enough? No one answered. My heartbeat became weaker. The cold reached my bones. I thought about all the times I apologized for mistakes I never made. I thought about every birthday they forgot, every promise they broke, every lie they believed. I smiled sadly. If I ever get another chance, my voice almost disappeared. I won't chase any of you again. Darkness slowly covered everything. Then, I heard a familiar alarm ringing beside my bed. My eyes flew open. I sat upright, breathing hard. The pain was gone. The blood was gone. The rain was gone. I stared at my room in complete shock. The calendar hanging on the wall made my heart stop. The date was exactly 1 year before I died. I rubbed my eyes again and again. This can't be real. Everything looked exactly as I remembered. My old desk stood beside the window. My worn backpack rested near the door. Even the cracked picture frame on the shelf was still there. I grabbed my phone with trembling hands. The date. It's really the same. A loud knock interrupted my thoughts. Daniel! Olivia shouted from outside. Stop sleeping. You're already late. My heart froze. Her voice was real. I slowly opened the door. Olivia crossed her arms. Why are you staring at me? I forced a small smile. Nothing. Hurry downstairs. She walked away without another word. I stood there quietly. I really came back. As I reached the dining room, Sophia was drinking coffee while Emma laughed at something on her phone. Lucas sat comfortably between them as if he already belonged there. Lucas smiled. Morning, Daniel. I looked into his eyes. Morning. He frowned for a moment, probably expecting me to sound angry. Emma laughed. Why are you acting so strange today? I'm just tired. Olivia placed a plate on the table. Lucas helped me finish an important project last night. Lucas smiled modestly. I only did what family should do. My stomach tightened. In my previous life, I had completed that project while Lucas secretly deleted my name before Olivia submitted it. I lowered my eyes. I remember everything. Without warning, Olivia suddenly looked around. Who said that? Sophia frowned. Said what? I just heard someone. Emma blinked. I heard it too. Lucas looked confused. What are you talking about? I remained silent. A strange feeling passed through me. I hadn't spoken those words aloud. Olivia stared at me. Daniel? Did you say something? No. She looked unsettled. For a few seconds, nobody spoke. Then Lucas forced a laugh. We're probably all tired. Everyone nodded, but the strange silence remained. Inside my mind, another thought appeared. None of you believed me when I died. Olivia suddenly grabbed the edge of the table. What was that voice? Sophia's face turned pale. I heard it again. Emma whispered. So did I. Lucas looked from one sister to another. I didn't hear anything. I quietly picked up my bag. I have to go. Olivia called after me. Daniel. I stopped but did not turn around. What? She hesitated. Nothing. I walked out of the house without looking back. The morning air felt different. For the first time in my life, I made a promise only to myself. I won't beg. I won't explain. I won't fight for people who already chose someone else. Whatever happened in this new life, I would never chase my sisters again. I had already died once. This time, I would finally choose myself. I did not look back after leaving the house. Daniel! Olivia's voice echoed behind me. I kept walking. Did you hear me? Yes, I answered without turning around. Then why aren't you stopping? Because I'm late. She stayed silent. In my previous life, I would have run back the moment she called my name. I would have apologized even when I had done nothing wrong. Not anymore. I heard quick footsteps behind me. Sophia crossed her arms. What's wrong with you today? Nothing. You've been acting strangely since morning. I'm just busy. She frowned. You usually explain yourself. I don't feel like explaining today. Her face stiffened. Before she could speak again, I walked away. My heart felt lighter with every step. I won't beg anymore. The words stayed inside my mind. Behind me, I suddenly heard Olivia whisper, Did you hear that? Sophia replied quietly, Hear what? He just said he won't beg anymore. I didn't hear him speak. I don't know. I smiled to myself. So the voices are happening again. By noon, I reached the downtown area with only a small backpack and the little money inside my wallet. I checked my balance. That's all I have? I laughed bitterly. It'll have to be enough. Hours passed as I searched for work. Every store gave me the same answer. We're not hiring. Try somewhere else. Leave your number. Each rejection reminded me of my previous life, but this time I refused to lose hope. As I turned onto a quiet street, light rain began falling. I hurried beneath the roof of a small bookstore. The warm smell of old books surrounded me. A gentle voice broke the silence. Are you hiding from the rain? I looked up. A young woman stood near the entrance with a soft smile. I guess I am. You look exhausted. I've had a long day. She studied me for a moment. Have you eaten? I hesitated. Not yet. Come inside. I don't have money to buy anything. I didn't ask you to. Her answer surprised me. I slowly stepped inside. She handed me a warm cup of tea. Sit down. I accepted it carefully. Thank you. She smiled again. My name is Grace. I'm Daniel. Nice to meet you, Daniel. For the first time in what felt like forever, someone looked at me without suspicion, disappointment, or pity. She simply treated me like a human being. I almost forgot what that felt like. I wrapped both hands around the warm cup. This is the best tea I've ever tasted. Grace laughed softly. I think you're just very hungry. I won't argue with that. She disappeared into a small room and returned with 2 sandwiches. Here. I can't pay you. I'm not asking for money. I don't want charity. It isn't charity, she said gently. It's kindness. I stared at her for a second. I almost forgot those 2 things were different. She sat across from me. So, Daniel, are you looking for work? Yes. What kind? Any honest job. She smiled. Then maybe today is your lucky day. I blinked. What do you mean? My assistant left last week. You own this bookstore? She nodded. I do. You'd hire someone you've only known for 10 minutes? I trust my first impression. And what does it say? That you're carrying more pain than luggage. I lowered my eyes. You noticed. It was hard not to. I took a slow breath. I'll work hard. I only ask for honesty. You'll have it. She reached out her hand. Welcome to Grace Bookstore. I shook it. Thank you. For the first time since waking in my second life, I felt hope instead of fear. At that same moment, a strange feeling crossed my mind. In my last life, Lucas told Olivia I stole money from my first employer. She never asked for the truth. She only believed him. Asterisk asterisk. The memory flashed through me like lightning. I quietly rubbed my forehead. Back at the house, my sisters suddenly heard my thoughts again. What was that? Olivia whispered. Sophia looked around nervously. I heard Daniel's voice. Emma swallowed. He said Lucas framed him. Olivia forced herself to laugh. This has to be stress. Sophia nodded. People don't hear thoughts. Emma tried to smile, but her hands trembled. Maybe we're imagining it. They wanted to believe that explanation. So did I. I organized books until evening. Before closing the store, Grace smiled. See you tomorrow? I'll be here. When I stepped outside, the sky had cleared. I looked upward and whispered, this time, I'll build a life that doesn't depend on anyone choosing me. I had walked away from the family that never valued me. Without realizing it, I had taken my very first step toward the future I truly deserved. I thought leaving my family would end the pain, but I was wrong. Every morning at Grace's bookstore, I reminded myself that my new life had already started. Daniel, you are early again, Grace said. I like being prepared. You don't have to prove yourself every second. I smiled. I'm still learning how to relax. Grace placed a stack of books on the counter. You know, most people would complain about extra work. I spent years wishing someone would trust me with responsibility. She looked at me carefully. Someone hurt you badly, didn't they? I paused. Yes. Do you want to talk about it? Not yet. She nodded. That's okay. I'll wait. Her kindness still felt strange to me, but far away from the bookstore, something unusual was happening. I later discovered that my sisters were hearing pieces of my thoughts whenever they were close to my memories. I remembered the day they accused me of stealing money. I begged them to listen. That painful memory reached them somehow. They finally saw the suffering I had hidden for years. They heard my fear, my loneliness, and the moments when Lucas secretly destroyed my reputation. I did not know how they reacted, but I knew their beliefs about me were starting to change. I continued working quietly, trying not to let my past control my future. A few hours later, a well-dressed man entered the bookstore. He looked around before approaching me. Excuse me, are you Daniel Carter? I looked surprised. Yes. Do I know you? He smiled. My name is Nathan Brooks. Can I help you? I heard you organized the business records here. I only arranged some files. Nathan picked up a document. Your system is simple, but very efficient. Thank you. Have you ever studied business? No. I learned from experience. He looked impressed. Experience can be more valuable than a classroom. I nodded. I never had the chance to study properly. Sometimes people with real struggles develop the strongest skills. His words stayed in my mind. I did not know it yet, but this short conversation would become the beginning of a completely different future for me. That day, I believed I was only organizing books. I had no idea I was opening the door to a new world. Nathan looked at me one more time before leaving the store. Think about your future, Daniel, he said. You have abilities you haven't discovered yet. I watched him walk away and felt something I had not felt in years. For the first time since my rebirth, I believed my second chance might actually become something meaningful. I kept thinking about Nathan's words after he left. You have abilities you haven't discovered yet. For years, I believed I was useless because my family made me feel that way. Now, for the first time, someone saw something valuable in me. The next morning, Grace noticed my expression. You look different today. Different. Yes, like you finally believe you belong somewhere. I smiled. Maybe I do. She placed a book on the counter. Then don't forget that feeling. I won't. Meanwhile, my sisters were struggling with something they could not explain. I didn't know exactly what was happening, but whenever painful memories entered my mind, they somehow heard them. They heard the truth I never said aloud. Olivia sat alone in her room, staring at old documents. Why can't I find anything against Lucas? She searched through every record she could access. He was always careful. Sophia walked into the room. Are you still investigating him? Olivia looked up. I need answers. Why? Because I heard Daniel's memories. Sophia became quiet. I heard them too. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Sophia whispered, I remember how I treated him. I continued my work at the bookstore, unaware of their conversation. That afternoon, Emma quietly entered the store. I immediately recognized her. Emma? She looked nervous. Hi, Daniel. What are you doing here? I was nearby. I knew she was lying, but I didn't expose her. Do you need something? She looked around. No. Grace noticed her expression. Are you his friend? Emma hesitated. Yes. I looked down. That word felt strange. A friend. Something my own sister had never called herself before. Emma watched me helping customers, organizing books, and smiling peacefully. She saw that I was not trying to get revenge. I was simply building a life without them. Before leaving, she stopped near the door. Daniel. I looked at her. Yes. She opened her mouth but couldn't speak. Finally, she said, Take care. After she left, I returned to work. I didn't know that my quiet choice to walk away was hurting them more than any revenge could. I didn't need to destroy anyone. I only needed to become someone they could no longer ignore. That evening, Nathan returned to the bookstore. I made a decision. I looked confused. About what? About you. Me? He smiled. I want to offer you an internship at my company. I froze. Why would you do that? Because I saw potential in you. I looked at the offer letter in his hand. My hands trembled slightly. Are you sure? Yes, Daniel. I believe you can become something great. I slowly accepted the paper. Thank you. At that moment, I had no idea this opportunity would completely change my destiny. My first day at Nathan's company felt completely different from every job I had ever known. Nathan smiled as he walked beside me. Nervous. A little. Good. It means you care. I don't want to disappoint you. You won't. His confidence surprised me. He opened the conference room door. Everyone, this is Daniel Carter. Several employees greeted me politely. Welcome. It's nice to meet you. I bowed my head. Thank you. I'll work hard. Nathan handed me a folder. Study this proposal. I read the first few pages. I think the marketing budget is too high. Nathan raised an eyebrow. You noticed that already? Yes. What would you change? I'd reduce unnecessary spending and invest more in customer service. He smiled. Interesting. For the next hour, we discussed different ideas. Instead of ignoring my opinions, Nathan listened carefully. Finally, he laughed. You've been here less than a day, and you've already improved this project. I scratched my head. I only said what I honestly thought. Never stop doing that. His words stayed with me. That afternoon, he knocked on my desk. Come with me. Where are we going? To meet someone important. A few minutes later, we entered a quiet cafe. A young woman stood and waved. Dad, over here. Nathan smiled. Daniel, this is my daughter, Evelyn. I greeted her politely. It's nice to meet you. She smiled warmly. I've heard a lot about you. I looked confused. Hopefully nothing embarrassing. She laughed. Only that you're honest. Nathan excused himself to answer a phone call. For a moment, Evelyn and I sat alone. She stirred her coffee. My father rarely praises people. Really? Especially new employees. I guess I'm lucky. No, she said. I think you earned it. I looked away, unsure how to respond. She noticed my silence. "You're not used to compliments, are you?" I smiled weakly. "Not really." "Then you'll have to get used to them." Her words carried no pity. They sounded sincere. For the first time, I realized kindness could exist without hidden motives. When we returned to the office, I felt lighter than I had in years. That evening, Grace called me. "How was your first day?" "It was amazing. I knew you'd do well." There were moments when I almost doubted myself. "And what happened?" "I remembered what you told me." "What was that?" "Don't forget you belong somewhere." She laughed softly. "I meant every word." As the call ended, I looked through the office window. Instead of seeing the broken man from my past, I finally saw someone beginning to believe in his own future. The following week became the busiest time of my new life. Every morning, I arrived before everyone else. Nathan noticed it immediately. "You really like coming early. It helps me think." He smiled. "Then tell me what you're thinking now." I handed him a notebook. "I have 3 new business ideas." He opened it slowly. "You finished all this in 1 week?" I couldn't stop writing. After reading several pages, he looked at me with surprise. "Daniel, these ideas could make the company stronger." I only wrote what made sense. "You have natural talent." Hearing those words made my chest feel warm. For years, I had only heard criticism. Now someone believed in me. That evening, Grace met me outside the bookstore. "You look happier." "I finally feel useful." "You were always useful. I just never met people who noticed." She smiled. "Keep moving forward." "I will." As I walked home, old memories suddenly filled my mind. Lucas smiled while blaming me for missing money. Olivia believed him without asking me a single question. Sophia called me a liar. Emma walked away before I could explain. I stood there alone, wondering why the truth never mattered. Asterisk asterisk. I closed my eyes for a moment. I won't live that nightmare again. At the same time, my sisters heard every memory. Olivia pressed both hands against her head. I heard it again. Sophia looked frightened. "So did I." Emma whispered, "Those memories feel real." Before they could say another word, Lucas entered the room. "What's wrong?" Olivia looked at him. "We keep hearing Daniel's thoughts." Lucas forced a laugh. "He's pretending to change." "You really think so?" Sophia asked. "Of course," Lucas answered. "He wants your attention." Emma stayed unusually quiet. Lucas continued, "Don't let him fool you." His words sounded confident, but my memories sounded honest. For the first time, my sisters could no longer ignore the difference. After work the next day, Olivia stopped me outside the company. "Daniel." I turned slowly. "What do you want?" She looked uncomfortable. "I wanted to ask if you're doing okay." "I'm fine." "You seem different." "I am." She waited for me to say more. I didn't. Finally, she stepped aside. As I walked away, one thought crossed my mind. "You never asked if I was okay before I died." Olivia suddenly froze. Her face turned pale. She had heard those words again. I never looked back. I had spent my first life chasing people who never chose me. This time I chose myself. And that decision was becoming stronger every single day. A few days after joining Nathan's company, I realized my life was finally moving forward instead of backward. Still, the scars inside me refused to disappear. Nathan noticed my silence during lunch. "You've been distracted." "I've been thinking." "About your family?" I looked at him. "How did you know?" "I've seen that expression before." I smiled sadly. "I want to forget them." "You don't have to forget." "Then what should I do?" "You should heal." His answer stayed with me all day. That evening, Grace handed me a small business card. "I want you to meet someone." "Who is he?" "A therapist." I hesitated. "I don't think talking will change anything." It changed my life. I looked at the card. Dr. Michael Hayes. The next afternoon, I walked into his office. He welcomed me with a calm smile. "I'm Michael." "I'm Daniel. Please have a seat." I sat quietly. He waited instead of rushing me. After several moments, he asked, Why did you come? I don't know. That's okay. I spent years trying to make people love me. And they never did. He nodded. How does that make you feel? Tired. Angry. Sometimes. Hurt. Every day. He leaned forward slightly. Daniel, you survived emotional abuse. I stared at him. I always thought I was just weak. No. Then why do I still blame myself? Because someone taught you that everything was your fault. His words struck me harder than I expected. For the first time, someone described my pain without judging me. I lowered my head. I don't want revenge anymore. What do you want? I answered without thinking. I want peace. He smiled gently. That's a much stronger goal. When the session ended, I felt lighter. Outside the office, I whispered to myself, maybe healing is possible. At the same time, my sisters were facing painful discoveries. Olivia secretly checked old financial records after hearing more of my memories. What is this? Several payments had disappeared. Every missing amount matched dates when Lucas had blamed me for stealing. She searched deeper. No! The records clearly showed money being transferred into accounts connected to Lucas. Her hands trembled. Daniel never took it. For the first time, doubt became undeniable. The lies she had believed for years were beginning to collapse. Far away, I knew nothing about her discovery. I only walked home feeling strangely peaceful. For the first time since my rebirth, I realized I didn't need my sisters to admit the truth before I could finally start healing. The next morning, I returned to work with a calmer heart. Nathan noticed the change immediately. You seem lighter today. I slept well for the first time in years. That's good. I think I'm finally learning how to let go. He smiled. Keep going. I will. After work, I visited Dr. Michael Hayes again. He handed me a notebook. I want you to write one sentence every night. What sentence? I deserve a peaceful life. I laughed quietly. That sounds simple. The hardest truths usually are. I nodded. I'll try. No, he said gently. Believe it. His words stayed with me as I walked home. Without warning, another memory crossed my mind. I lay alone on the cold road, begging my sisters to answer my calls. My phone slipped from my hand. I closed my eyes, believing nobody would ever come for me. Asterisk, asterisk. I felt my chest tighten. I survived once. I won't let that memory control me forever. At that same moment, my sisters heard every painful thought. Olivia covered her mouth. He really died alone. Sophia looked at her with tears in her eyes. I heard everything. She hurried into Lucas's room without knocking. Tell me the truth. Lucas looked surprised. What truth? Did you lie about Daniel? He frowned. Why would I? I found messages on your old phone. His face changed for a second. What messages? The ones where you admitted deleting Daniel's work before blaming him. Lucas quickly recovered. You misunderstood. I read them myself. They were jokes. Sophia stepped back. You always have an excuse. Before she could leave, Emma entered. I need to ask you something. Lucas forced another smile. Of course. When Daniel called for help that night, did you really know he was pretending? Lucas looked into her eyes. I was protecting all of you. Emma lowered her head. I don't know what to believe anymore. You should believe me. She remained silent. For the first time, his words no longer erased her doubts. I knew nothing about their arguments. I only remembered Dr. Hayes's advice. I deserve a peaceful life. I repeated those words again and again. Each time, they became easier to believe. I finally understood something my old self never had. Freedom was not making my sisters suffer. Freedom was waking up without needing their approval. As I looked toward tomorrow, I smiled quietly. I was no longer living to prove my worth. I was finally living for myself. Somewhere behind me, guilt was beginning to break the people who had once broken me. For the first time, they were forced to ask themselves one painful question. Did they still deserve my forgiveness? I never answered. Some questions had to remain inside their own hearts. A month after joining Nathan's company, My life had changed more than I ever imagined. One morning, Nathan called me into his office. "Daniel, close the door." I did. "Is something wrong?" He slid a folder across the desk. "I've been investigating a company involved in financial fraud." I opened the file. My hands froze. "Lucas." Nathan nodded. "You know him?" "I know him better than I wish." He leaned back. "The evidence is solid." "What are you going to do?" "Expose everything." I took a slow breath. I never thought this day would come. "You don't have to be afraid anymore." I've spent years waiting to hear those words. That afternoon, Nathan held a public meeting with business partners and reporters. He calmly presented documents, bank records, and signed contracts. One executive stood up. "Are these documents authentic?" Nathan answered firmly. "Every page has been verified." The room became silent. Lucas's name spread through the crowd. People whispered to each other. I watched quietly from the back. For the first time, I wasn't the one being accused. The lies had finally found their owner. As the meeting ended, Nathan walked over to me. "How do you feel?" "I thought revenge would make me happy. And I only feel relieved." He smiled. "Relief lasts longer than revenge." His words stayed with me. Later that evening, my phone rang. The caller surprised me. "Olivia." I answered after several seconds. "Hello." Her voice shook. "Daniel, I found something." "What is it?" "I found the accident report from your old company." I remained silent. There were security videos. My heartbeat quickened. "What did they show?" "They proved Lucas tampered with the equipment before blaming you." I closed my eyes. "So, it really wasn't my fault?" "No." She began crying. "I accused you without even asking what happened." I didn't answer. There were no words left between us. She whispered, "I'm sorry." I quietly ended the call. Outside my apartment, I looked toward the evening sky. I don't need apologies to know the truth. At the same time, Sophia faced consequences of her own. Several close friends confronted her. "You defended Lucas for years." "I believed him." "You never believed your own brother." "I know." One friend slowly shook her head. "We trusted your judgment." Another added, "Now we don't know if we can trust you anymore." Sophia lowered her eyes. For the first time, she understood that believing lies had destroyed more than one relationship. Far away, I knew nothing about her pain. I simply continued walking forward. My past was finally losing its power over me. The next evening, I received an unexpected phone call. "Daniel," Olivia said softly, "Grandmother wants the whole family to meet." I stayed quiet for a moment. "Why now?" "She says she can't keep the truth hidden anymore." After a long silence, I answered, "I'll come." When I entered Grandmother Margaret's house, everyone was already there. Lucas stood near the window with forced confidence. Emma could not even look at me. Sophia kept her head lowered. Grandmother Margaret slowly stood. "I've waited too long." Olivia stepped closer. "What do you mean?" Grandmother looked at all of us before speaking. "The night your parents died, they made me promise something." The room became completely silent. She turned toward my sisters. They held Daniel's hand. Emma covered her mouth. Grandmother continued, "They begged all three of you to protect him." Tears filled Olivia's eyes. "They said Daniel always sacrificed for this family." Sophia whispered, "I remember that night." "You were young," Grandmother replied, "but you still made a promise." Emma began crying. "We failed him." Grandmother nodded sadly. "Yes." She pointed toward Lucas. "Then you slowly replaced Daniel with someone who never loved this family." Lucas finally spoke. "That's not true." Grandmother looked directly at him. "I stayed silent because I hoped you would change. I never did anything wrong." She opened an old wooden box and removed several letters. "These were written by your parents." Olivia took one with trembling hands. As she read, tears rolled down her face. "Our precious daughters, please protect your little brother. He always gives more than he receives." Sophia started sobbing. Emma whispered, We forgot everything. Lucas stepped forward. Those letters prove nothing. Grandmother answered firmly. They prove your lies replaced their final wishes. Nobody defended him. Nobody even looked at him. For the first time, he stood completely alone. I quietly watched everything. My heart hurt, but it was different now. The pain no longer controlled me. It reminded me how far I had come. Emma suddenly walked toward me. I pushed you away so many times. I looked into her tearful eyes. I know. I don't deserve forgiveness. I answered honestly. I can't decide that today. She nodded without arguing. As I walked toward the door, I realized something important. Karma had never needed my help. The truth had arrived on its own. I stepped outside into the cool night air and smiled faintly. My sisters had finally seen the brother they had abandoned. Whether they could live with that truth was no longer my burden. For the first time in both my lives, I felt completely free. A week passed after Grandmother Margaret revealed the truth. For the first time in years, nobody from my family called me. The silence felt peaceful. One afternoon, I closed my notebook at work when Grace smiled at me. You look calm today. I finally stopped waiting for apologies. What if they come anyway? I thought for a moment. I don't know. Before I could say anything else, my phone vibrated. Olivia. I looked at the screen without answering. Grace noticed. You don't have to pick up. I know. After a long breath, I accepted the call. Hello. Her voice shook. Daniel? Can we meet? Why? I need to tell you something. I already know the truth. I know, but I still need to say it. After several seconds, I answered, Fine. That evening, I met her in a quiet park. The moment she saw me, tears filled her eyes. I'm sorry. I stayed silent. I blamed you. I know. I believed Lucas instead of my own brother. I know. I heard your thoughts again this morning. My expression changed. You still hear them? She nodded. I heard you asking why we never loved you. I looked away. I never wanted anyone to hear that. She covered her face. I heard every tear you never cried in front of us. Neither of us spoke for a long moment. Finally, she whispered, Please come home. I shook my head. I can't. We'll change. I'm sure you will. Then why? Because I already changed. She stared at me. I don't understand. I spent my whole first life trying to become someone you could love. My voice remained calm. Now I'm learning to love myself. She cried even harder. I don't deserve another chance. I answered honestly. I don't know if anyone does. The next morning, Sophia visited the bookstore. She stood quietly near the entrance. Grace looked at me. Do you want me to ask her to leave? No. I walked over. Hi. Sophia lowered her head. I came to apologize. I waited. I defended Lucas every single time. You did. I called you selfish. You did. I ignored your pain. You did. She wiped away her tears. I can still hear your thoughts. I closed my eyes. So it's still happening. She nodded. I hear the loneliness you carried for years. I took a slow breath. I wish you never had to hear it. I wish you never had to live it. Her words were sincere, but sincerity had arrived years too late. I realized forgiveness and trust were not the same thing anymore. One could exist without the other. The day after Sophia visited the bookstore, Emma asked if she could see me. I agreed to meet her at a small cafe. When I arrived, she was already waiting. The moment she saw me, she stood up. I'm sorry. I pulled out a chair. Sit down. She slowly sat across from me. I don't know where to begin. Then tell the truth. She nodded. I followed everyone else because I was afraid of being alone. I listened quietly. Every time Lucas blamed you, I believed him. I know. I thought you would always forgive me. I looked into her eyes. I always did. Fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. I still hear your thoughts whenever I'm near you.
He sighed softly.
Then you already know how much everything hurt. She lowered her head. I do. I hear the night you begged us to answer your calls. I remained silent. I hear you asking why your own family abandoned you. Neither of us spoke for several moments. Finally, she whispered, "Please come home." I smiled sadly. My home isn't there anymore. Then where is it? It's with the people who chose me when they didn't have to. She looked confused. Grace believed in me. I smiled. Nathan trusted me. I continued. Evelyn respected me. And Dr. Hayes helped me believe in myself. I placed my hands on the table. They became the family I spent my whole life searching for. Emma quietly cried. So there's no place for us? There may be forgiveness, but not trust. I slowly shook my head. Trust was buried with the man who died on that road. She closed her eyes. I understand. As I left the cafe, my phone rang. Nathan answered before I could even speak. Daniel, the police arrested Lucas this morning. I stopped walking. It's over. Yes. The investigators found everything. I closed my eyes. I thought I'd feel happy. And I only feel peaceful. That's enough. After the call ended, I looked at the clear sky above me. For years, I believed revenge would heal my heart. I had been wrong. Healing came from letting go. Later that evening, all three of my sisters stood together outside the bookstore. None of them asked me to return home again. They simply bowed their heads. For a brief moment, I heard nothing. The strange voices had finally disappeared. Maybe they no longer needed my thoughts. The truth already lived inside their own hearts. I smiled gently before turning away. Some wounds never completely disappear, but they no longer decide who I become. This time I walked forward without looking back, and I never regretted that choice again. Several months passed before I realized how completely my life had changed. One morning, Nathan walked into my office with a wide smile. Congratulations. I looked up. For what? Our newest project became the company's biggest success. I laughed. I still can't believe it. You earned it. His words made me smile. For years, I believed I would never hear anyone say that. After work, I visited Grace's bookstore. She waved excitedly. Daniel, come here. What happened? She handed me a newspaper. Our publishing company is officially opening next month. I stared at the headline. You really did it. We did it, she corrected gently. I laughed. I only helped a little. You helped me believe this dream was possible. I looked around the familiar shop. I'll never forget the day you gave me tea and a sandwich. She smiled. I'll never forget the frightened young man who walked through that door. I was completely lost. Not anymore. Later that evening, Evelyn invited me for dinner. As we walked through a quiet park, she looked at me and smiled. You seem happier every time I see you. I finally wake up without fear. I'm glad. She stopped walking. Can I ask you something? Of course. Do you still think about the past every day? I thought carefully before answering. No. What changed? I stopped living inside my old memories. She reached for my hand. I've wanted to do this for a long time. I gently held her hand. So have I. She smiled softly. Thank you for trusting me. I trust you because you never asked me to become someone else. You never have to. Her answer warmed my heart. When I returned home, I looked through my apartment window. For the first time, the silence no longer felt lonely, felt peaceful. I quietly whispered to myself, this is the life I fought to find. Everything I once believed impossible had slowly become real. I finally had honest friends. I finally had meaningful work. I finally had people who stayed beside me without expecting anything in return. As I closed the curtains, I realized something beautiful. The broken man who died on that lonely road no longer existed. A stronger version of me had quietly taken his place. And for the first time, I truly believed tomorrow would be even brighter. The following weekend, I visited the community center where Grace donated books every month. She smiled when she saw me. You came. I promised I would. Children filled the room with laughter. One little boy handed me a storybook. Will you read this with me? I smiled. I'd love to. For the next hour, I forgot every painful memory I had ever carried. When we finished, Grace whispered, "You look peaceful. I finally understand something." "What is it?" "Happiness grows when we share it." She nodded proudly. "I knew you'd find your answer." A few days later, I accidentally saw my sisters helping at a local charity event. They noticed me but did not walk over. Instead, they continued serving meals and cleaning tables. I quietly smiled. They were no longer chasing my forgiveness. They were trying to become better people. That alone meant something. As I turned to leave, a familiar feeling crossed my mind. I waited. Nothing happened. No strange voices. No mysterious connection. I looked back once. Olivia, Sophia, and Emma simply watched me from a distance. For the first time, they could no longer hear my thoughts. The impossible bond had finally disappeared. Now they only had their own memories to guide them. Later that evening, Evelyn sat beside me on the apartment balcony. "You've been quiet." "I've been thinking." "About your sisters?" "A little." "Do you regret walking away?" I looked at the city lights. "No." "Do you hate them?" I slowly shook my head. "I stopped carrying hate a long time ago." "What do you carry now?" "Hope." She rested her head on my shoulder. "I like that answer." I smiled. "So do I." Months ago, I believed being reborn was my chance to punish everyone who hurt me. Now I understood the truth. Rebirth had given me something far more valuable. It had given me another chance to choose myself. I no longer measured my worth by who loved me. I measured it by the life I built with honesty, kindness, and courage. I quietly looked toward the endless sky. This life finally belongs to me. The words felt simple. They also felt true. I smiled without forcing it. The pain of yesterday had become the strength of today. The future no longer frightened me. As I walked forward with the people who truly cared about me, I realized the greatest revenge had never been making others suffer. It had always been choosing a happier life. And this time, I knew I never would let that happiness go.